Welcome to the Heart of Bastrop Talk Show. I'm TJ Finn with the Heart of Texas Chamber of Commerce.
And I'm Connie Schrader, Mayor of the City of Bastrop.
Well, it's season 5, episode 9 already?
They add up quickly.
Yes, they do. It goes by. Only 14 episodes this season, so you don't want to miss any of those. So today we have some interesting guests. So we have Zig and Remington from Rollo Insurance. We thought that was appropriate for today's show because we also have...
Oh my goodness, one of my favorite events that will be November 11th and 12th this year. The Bastrop Area Cruisers put on the Heroes and Hot Rods car show.
You don't want to miss that, so find out more.
I'm here with Adam and Neil with Bastrop Area Cruisers, and we're going to talk about one of my most favorite events, and that is, of course, Heroes and Hot Rods. But let's talk about Bastrop Area Cruisers first. Adam, you're the club president.
I am. We have 200 members. We meet once a month. We do a monthly social. We do rod runs around Bastrop County, usually within an hour or two of Bastrop, roughly once a month, once every 2 months, and we always have a good time. But we always like to come together to benefit our veterans and like to show off our cars in the process.
It is a lot of fun. The car show is very popular, and that brings us to Neil. So did you draw the lucky straw or the last straw? Because it is a ton of work, I know.
It is. I've been car show director for the last 3 years since COVID, and look forward to it every year. And we really work hard to put on a good show. We'll have a veterans parade. We'll have a flyover. We'll give out numerous awards, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And we're going to have about 400 vehicles that show up along with the club cars, and so we're really looking forward to it.
So that's a really fun thing. If you're not a member of the club, you should think about joining Bastrop Area Cruisers. How much does it cost to be a member?
It costs $30, $40 a month.
Yes.
Or a year.
A year.
Not a month. No way. So $40 a month.
And great people.
Year.
Oh my gosh! Again, let's try this again. $40 a year.
$40 a year. That takes care of a couple. It's a great way. You do meet monthly. That's why you're thinking about monthly. It's a great time to get together, and you automatically have something in common because everybody likes their cars.
And everybody has such a wide variety of flavor for their cars too. Some are classic, some are custom, some are square body Chevy, some are modern exotics. We're just all over the map. If you appreciate cars, enjoy speed, enjoy the history involved with all of the many different cars that we have, you'll fit right in.
But you don't have to be a car mechanic. You can also just like pretty ones and have a favorite color.
That's
right? Me. So let's talk more about the car show. There's the drive-in on Friday.
Yes.
Tell us what happens then.
So Friday night's just more of a social event. We'll be bringing in about 200 vehicles on Friday night, and it's just a chance to experience the downtown restaurants and bars and just have fun. It starts at 4 o'clock and goes till 10. We are asking all vehicles be removed out of the area by midnight for the upcoming event on Saturday.
And then on Saturday morning, here come all the cars, and they're competing, and some of them are pretty serious about it.
Yes, we have over 29 different categories of vehicles, ranging from 1920s all the way up to modern cars, 2022s. And so we have a wide variety of classics and fully restored resto mods, and along with rat rods and motorcycles.
It's such a great event, and November, you can pretty well count on having fantastic weather right here in Bastrop. So it's free to the public. I see groups of guys standing around and talking about which engine's faster. I see families, strollers are getting pushed. It's just a great time for anybody to come out.
Yes, and the event starts at 7:30 and goes until 4 o'clock on
and
Saturday
then,
afternoon.
I know that you guys are very dedicated to the veterans, and I know that you take care of them during the year, and many people leave the car show and go to the red, white, and blue dinner that evening, another way to recognize and remember our veterans.
Yes.
So if you're in the club, you're probably volunteering, but do you need some other volunteers?
Yes, we're looking for all sorts of volunteers. We expect around 4,000 people on Saturday. And there's lots to do, just setting up for the event, taking down, and also just a lot of things we have to do in between. So yes, we are looking for volunteers.
So if somebody out there wants to volunteer, what do they need to do?
they need to contact the club, and that can be done through our website and through our club email is posted up there. And we'll be more than happy to get back with you and help you either join the club or help us out on Friday and Saturday.
So Heroes and Hot Rods, November 11th and 12th, right here in Bastrop. And if you like cars or own a classic car or any type of a car and want to make some new friends, make sure you join the Bastrop Area Cruisers. Thank you both so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
So we're talking about cars today. It's a perfect time to have Remington McDermott and Zig Urbanek. Am I saying that right?
Yes,
That's a
ma'am.
little bit of a mouthful, but we love it. I'm so glad that you came and to be with us today to talk about insurance, because it is an important thing, and I, of all people, know that. So I just want to say Remington and I serve on 2 boards in Bastrop County together.
Yes,
The CASA board and the Heart of Texas Chamber board. And, I love that you're so involved in your community. That's a big deal.
Absolutely. I always figured if I was going to be in the community doing business, being a part of it was going to be a big factor. in that.
Absolutely. It's just a big thing to give back, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. I totally agree. Insurance, some people know this, but very few people. I worked with Allstate for several years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so I'm very familiar with insurance, and it's probably a good thing I worked for Allstate, because when Hurricane Harvey came through, I lost everything I owned. And because I had the knowledge of insurance, I was overinsured. And so although I lost everything, I wasn't in the predicament that a lot of people were in, who really walked away with nothing.
Absolutely.
And knowing, the things to be insured about. Like, a lot of people think if they have homeowners insurance and a flood comes, they're covered. Not true.
That is not true at all. That's one of those big, big misconceptions that people have is, floods, earthquakes, things like that are specifically excluded, especially in Texas, from all homeowners policies.
Right,
So
and it didn't used to be.
It didn't used to be.
But all the hurricanes, now they're like, nope, you have to have a policy specific for that.
absolutely, and all of those are actually written through FEMA, different companies' paper, but it's all FEMA regulated through federal government. So,
Right. And lucky for me, I had flood insurance.
yes.
Because had I not, even though it was a hurricane, what got me was not the hurricane, which, that caused some damage. But what happened was I had 11 and a half feet of water at my house for 5 days.
Yes.
Definitely a flood. And had I not had that flood insurance on top of my homeowners, I don't know what I'd have done.
That's a lot of people did that, and at that point you're stuck at the mercy of dealing with FEMA directly, of trying to get what is left of the federal funds that have been designated for that purpose, and that just drags out for months. So
Yeah.
it makes things very hard. But you're right, there's a lot of things that people don't think about on homeowners insurance. Everything from basics of the type of policy you have. In the state of Texas, there are things called named perils policies. Not necessarily a bad thing, but it limits what is actually covered, because that allows the insurance company to tell you the specific 14 things that they will pay you money for.
Wow, I was not aware of that.
Yes, and those are, you can get into the jargon of it, but broad perils policies, not necessarily bad. I've been at companies where we have those, and working at Rollo Insurance as an independent, I have those available to me. They are slightly cheaper in most cases, but if you run into an oddball thing, windblown rain is a great example that happens here all the time. So you have a thunderstorm come in, 60, 70, 80 mile an hour winds, your shingles lift up, water gets under the shingles and drips into your house.
Right.
If you are on a named perils policy, unless it says that wind-driven rain is covered, there's no payout for you on that.
Wow. Yeah, that would certainly be a great thing to know, because you're right. When we ever do get rain, it's usually, even at the hotel here at the Hampton, we got wind damage. Thank God we were covered, but we've had some wind-driven rain damage here at the hotel for sure.
Absolutely. And so the flip side of that is you can go with what's called an open perils or a special perils policy, which basically flips the named perils on its head. It's a broader coverage that allows you the insurance company tells you specifically what is not covered.
Got you.
So things like flood, like we talked about, intentional acts,
Right.
things like that are not covered, but typically you're limited to 3 or 4 exclusions, and everything else aside from those specific names or exclusions are considered covered.
Right.
So it just gives you more protection for what you do. And people will see their insurance come through and say, oh, my house is covered for $300,000.
Right.
Well, that's great, but what will they pay you that money for is where you get into some of the problems. And that's just more on the basic 101 type of side.
And Zig, you do property and casualty, right? So
Yes,
you
ma'am.
do property being homeowners insurance and your auto insurance.
Home and auto mainly.
Right, right. And I tell you, a lot of people don't realize this, but would you agree that you should shop your insurance every time it comes up for renewal?
Absolutely.
You should look at what your options are.
Definitely.
And say, and the good thing about being an independent agency is you're not Allstate. You don't have one insurance. This is what I can tell you. No, you have just, I don't know how many, but just multitude of places you can go to and say, hey, where's the best rate I can get for that customer? And that's what, people need to look for when they're looking for insurance.
Absolutely. When I left the captive agency world where I was with just one carrier, it opened my eyes when I stepped into the independent market and saw that, we're in what we call a hard insurance market. Everybody out there, more than likely, every time you open your renewal, you're going to see an increase in this year.
Oh, I certainly
yeah.
did. I mentioned to you before the show, Zig, I need you to look at my auto insurance, everything really, but my auto insurance went up almost $300. I've had no accidents. I've had no changes. I'm an old lady. I'm not going 90, okay? And my husband might, however, sorry to say that. But yeah, and I didn't do anything wrong, but boy, I got penalized. That's the way people look at it, even if that's just the way it is. So, man, yeah. So thank you for working on my insurance, because that's a big deal. But, something I wanted to talk about that I think a lot of people are not aware of is if you take your laptop, your whatever, and you stick it in your car, people, and somebody steals it, people think, oh, it's covered in my car insurance. Nope.
No, it is not.
But it can be covered under your homeowner's insurance for personal property off premises, right?
That is correct. And many times you can do that, but it's still subject to your deductible.
Right, which is probably pretty high.
Pretty
right?
high on your homeowners. But there are ways you can endorse, especially business, if it's a business laptop, things like that. There are endorsements you can add on to certain homeowners policies that allow you to cover those things at a lower deductible.
I was not aware of that.
Yes, there are different
Wow.
riders. Take jewelry, for instance, or golf. You have your golf clubs in there.
Right.
$1,200 worth of golf clubs. If you have an inland marine rider, it could be a rider on your homeowners or a separate policy. Same thing that you insure jewelry on, actually.
Right.
The same type of policy where you can have an all perils coverage at a lot of times a $0 to $50, $100 deductible.
Right.
To where those kinds of things can be covered. Absolutely.
Wow. Yeah, that's definitely much better. And then also, you carry commercial insurance as well.
I do, yes.
There's so many things. I mean, we could do a whole show just about the things people need for commercial insurance.
Oh, yes.
There's, in my situation with Bastrop Photography, we closed the studio in 2020. Okay. And so I didn't need that policy anymore because I didn't have a building. Mm-hmm. But we shoot on location. And so I'm like, well, I still want my my property covered,
Mm-hmm.
even though I'm not in one place, and I was able to do that fairly inexpensively and have $1 million liability policy,
Absolutely.
right? So you guys we talked about it, but you guys offer all of that.
Yes, we do. I have quoted and written insurance on everything from just a mom and pop print shop to I'm currently working on a 500 employee, $500 million a year business. So I can range from everything from just your local shop to mid-sized business, even down to offering group benefits such as group health, group life, and all of that. So yes,
I was
we
not
have
aware.
access to all of those.
I was not aware of that. I'm surprised. So group health and well, listen, we need to talk because
Absolutely.
we want that for our employees here at the hotel. And I was just on the phone with the owner of the management company that manages the Hampton, and she said, absolutely, we need that. Do you know how to make that happen? I was like, I'll figure it out. Well, I just figured it out.
Absolutely, and we have a new process that simplifies the whole thing. We partnered with a carrier that has a professional enrollment team, so it makes
Wow.
life a lot easier, both on the insured, on myself, everybody.
Right, and does it matter how many employees they have?
So if you want a group policy, and there's going to be a little bit of caveat because these rules are waived from November to December.
Right.
You anywhere from 2 to 50 employees is considered a small group. You can do bigger than that,
Wow.
and so yes, there's a lot of. I won't get into all the different rules that they've set, but yes, there's.
Wow. I
lot
love
of
that.
different
That's
things.
amazing. I didn't know that. So, yeah, and health insurance now, even with the Obamacare, okay? Obamacare, I'm not 100% against Obamacare
There were some
because
good
there are
things
some
that came out of it.
people that are in a very dire economic situation that it benefits them. But you got to be in a really bad situation where it benefits you. I've looked at it, and you almost got to be not working at all before it becomes a huge benefit.
I'll tell you that has actually changed. So
Has
I
it?
just went through training on that 2 weeks ago, actually, and through different bills that have been passed. I ran a quote for a family of 3 making about $60,000 a year, and you could actually get one of the top tier gold policies for about $500 a month.
Wow, no, that's not bad at all. I tell you,
No.
we pay way more than that, I do believe. I don't know, my husband pays it, but I think we pay way more than that. And it's just, me and my husband and,
They
You know.
have made things a lot better with the way especially the subsidies
well, that's
work.
good to hear. I'm sorry, I apologize to Obamacare. Yeah, because when I last looked into it, I was like, I just wanted to understand it, right? Like, how is this
Yes.
working? So that's good to hear.
Yes, because I honestly, until I went to the training, I was the same way. I've avoided doing, I kept myself informed on it, but avoided doing individual health insurance for years because the first time I tried it right after the Affordable Care Act was passed, it was messy.
Not affordable?
Yeah,
Not affordable?
Not affordable, and it was messy, and so I kind of wrote it off. Over the past few months, as I've gone through trainings and things like that, it has become better.
Wonderful. Well, if someone, whether it's an individual, can call Zig up and he'll get them all, but if they want to do commercial, they really need to speak to you because it sounds like
Yes.
you have a lot of knowledge about that. And, it's okay to just call him and ask him questions.
Absolutely.
Right? Because you're not going to know. And I tell you, it doesn't matter what size your business is. If you're a home-based business, get you some insurance.
Absolutely.
Because loss can be devastating. And God knows I know all about that. I lost everything I owned. I didn't even have a pair of shoes. A lady at the hotel gave me flip-flops. I talked about that in other episode we had. I literally lost everything. Both my cars, my home, and gosh, I'm so grateful that I had insurance because I know a lot of people who lost everything and did not have insurance.
Absolutely, and checking your coverage, especially your coverage every year, maybe even your rate, is vital
Yeah.
because I tell people this because you'll see as you contact us, we'll talk about at Rollo Insurance, the difference is real. That's actually an acronym. So rates, education, protecting your assets for life.
Right.
So as important as rates are to people, the education for where your money is going and what it's doing is drastically more important than the rates that you're paying, because you can pay the cheapest insurance you can find, and when something happens, you can find out that, hey, my homeowner's insurance didn't cover the storm surge from Hurricane Harvey.
Right.
And so it's important to know what you're spending your money on, where it's going, and that's one of the things that we do. Try to do annual reviews with the policies as we go through, just to make sure, hey, did your life change? Did you sell a car? Did you do things that we need to do?
I love that, annual review. That's what people need to do. And the thing I like about an insurance agency like Rollo, who does have all these options, you're looking at when these people's stuff come up for renewal, they don't have to call somebody. You're already looking at it, and you're saying, okay, which agency can get me a better rate?
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, gosh, I'm so glad that you guys came on the show today.
Thank you for having
and
us.
And if you need car insurance, auto insurance, commercial, group health, gosh, we know who to call.
We do it all.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
TJ, what a great show. I am already looking forward to the car show. You know, in November, it's going to be great weather in Bastrop.
Oh, you know it will. And it's so much fun. You know, I'll never forget the first time I went to the car show. I was just like amazed. They're just everywhere. It's so beautiful downtown, and you get to go to all the restaurants, and people are just really enjoying it. So
I always like any organization that recognizes the service of our veterans. We're so thankful for them, and we can never tell them thank you enough.
Absolutely. And we also had today Remington, McDermott, and then Zig with Rollo Insurance. And how interesting. There's so much that the average person doesn't know about insurance.
We got to know who to ask.
You do, and now we know.
Now we know.
Definitely. So, guys, you do not want to miss an episode of the Heart of Bastrop Talk Show. So go to theheartofbastrop.com or follow us on YouTube or our Facebook channel. We'll see you next week.